Hi everyone, welcome to the National Spine Health Foundation. I'm your host Erica. I know people are jumping on, so we're going to give it a minute, and it's been a while, but we are back today with an Instagram live interview that I'm so excited to tell you about. We have a really fun guest today. Her name is Laura Kummerle, and she has an amazing Instagram account, Paradigm to Perfection. You are going to love what she has to say today. And this month at National Spine Health Foundation, we are focusing partly on physical therapy. So we are going to talk to Laura about that in part, but also about some of the work she does. Laura, I just saw you join the video, so we're going to get you on here in just a minute. But for everyone watching, stay tuned. If you have questions for Laura today about any of the things that we discussed, stay on, ask live. We'll see if we can get some of those. And give us just a second as she is about to jump on here. Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yes, well, we were so excited when you agreed to chat with us because we just love following all the great work you do and all of your amazing videos on Instagram. So thank you so much. I know so many people, especially during the pandemic, have turned to online spaces to really find what they're looking for online. So I would love, Laura, if you could just tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and why you do what you do.
Yeah, so my name is Laura. I am a physical therapist. I practice just outside of Atlanta, Georgia. And so I have been doing this for about 3 years now. I graduated from UF in 2018, so University of Florida. And then I did an orthopedic residency after that. So I am an orthopedic clinical specialist. And I really got into it because I grew up doing gymnastics, and I fell in love with how the body moved, and I just found an interest in the musculoskeletal system. And it kind of just grew from there. I originally thought I was going to do engineering, and then I took calculus and I said, no more.
Yeah.
And then I found physical therapy. So it all worked out in the end, and I'm very happy with what I do. And then on the online side of things, I have my own online coaching business where I do online like workout programs and things like that. So it can be like mobility focused, it can be like injury prevention, it can just be a generic workout program, anything like that.
So when did you decide, hey, there's a lot of opportunity in the online space rather than a more traditional role?
So I actually started my Instagram account in 2017 when I was still in PT school. And that was more for really just fun. It was like a hobby. After I retired from gymnastics, when I finished undergrad, I felt like something was missing, and I found calisthenics online. So really just like body weight training. And I didn't realize that people actually trained that way outside of gymnastics. And so I was like, wait, this is what was missing. I saw the community was there, and I was like, might as well just start. And then it kind of grew from there. People started asking questions, and that's kind of how it developed. So it wasn't really an intentional thing. It just kind of grew out of what I was already doing.
Well, that's the best way to do it, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I love that. As a former really bad gymnast, I did love gymnastics growing up. And so when I got older, I was also looking for sort of, replacement or something that can bring that similar kind of fulfillment. So I totally get that. Now, what is it about, working with people specifically? I mean, you're working with individuals. You're also working with people that are sort of, I'm assuming, like taking courses and you're not interacting with them, but what do you like working with people?
So it's really hearing their story, knowing that each body is individual. So like no body is the same. So you have to tweak something to each individual. So whether it's like a stance in a squat position that might require specific cueing or things like that, it's just really figuring out that puzzle. And so it's more that and like the analysis of the movement. I can just like nerd out and like watching, like, I don't know, your scapula in a pull-up. I'm just like, oh, this is like slightly different on this side. And let's go ahead and address like the cause of that, things like that. So that's kind of what I like working with individuals. It's just noticing those asymmetries, noticing the uniqueness in each individual body, and then applying what you need from there.
Yeah, that makes sense. So the thing that I noticed right away on your website was your anti-sitting program, which, that's that title stands out. And obviously we've all been working from home forever now, or many people have. So sorry, bug in my face.
You're good.
So tell us about the program, what are the details of it and how's it been going?
Yeah, so I actually recently launched that at the beginning of this month, and it's just a program to help with common areas that commonly get stiff with prolonged sitting. So whether you're sitting at work all day, whether you've just been like sitting for a while watching TV, or whatever your reason for sitting for a while is, it can provide you with some exercise just to kind of help loosen up those areas. And so pretty much it can be done, there are 2 options within that same program. It can be done 5 days a week, and then you get a bonus 6th day with that, and it's 10 to 15 minutes per day, or you can do 3 days at the 20 to 30 minute, depending on your preference and depending on your schedule. And it's supposed to be just a quick little series of exercises just to help loosen you up. You can do it before work, you can do it after work or during your lunch, or anything really throughout the day. I know people use it as a transition from like their job at working at a desk to going rock climbing, or as a warm up for their workouts. And they've been really enjoying it, using it for that as well.
What are those areas that are most affected by sitting?
So pretty much your whole body is kind of affected, right? So you're going to be typing at your computer, so your wrists and forearms can get a little tight. Your neck and shoulders and mid-back are probably like the most common things. But you also have to consider the low back and hips too. So really, it's pretty much a full body program, just kind of easing you into just getting moving a little bit more.
Yeah, I know that I'm always the person at the coffee shop because I work out of a coffee shop a lot. And I get up and do these stretches because they have just become sort of a habit for me. And I just don't feel right unless I do some of these exercises. Mm-hmm. And I'm always the only one, and I always look silly, but it's totally worth it to feel like I'm actually taking care of my body instead of sitting there for a million hours without moving. So in terms of when someone is sitting down and working, like how often should they be getting up, or what do you recommend in that space?
So I have heard anywhere from like the 30 minutes to about an hour. I don't necessarily think, based on my research, there's not really a set schedule or a set recommended time. I know like PT school, I believe they said 30 minutes or 60 minutes. I've heard 30 minutes more recently as well. So really, it's not necessarily like the sitting in a particular position that is the issue. It's the prolonged positioning. So, with that, it's more so the ability to get into and out of positions. So if we're sitting in that position for so long, then it's difficult to get out of that position. And so if we're able to switch things up every 30 minutes to an hour, whether it's like setting a timer or just like doing a couple things when you get up to go like to the bathroom, grab some water, grab something from the printer, just doing a couple things to get you out of that position and loosen you up a little bit, that can help as well.
Okay. Now, since the pandemic started, did you start to get any like newer questions or requests? Did you have a kind of a different interest level in some things when people started working from home?
So I would definitely say yes, because I do like all home workouts, and that was since before the pandemic. There's been an influx of just people looking for those types of things. And so just in general, home workouts, being a little bit more creative with the equipment that they have, and things like that, there's been definitely more interest for that. Just okay. Access.
Now, do you work with people that are overcoming injury, or are you more maintenance?
So in the clinic, I do skilled physical therapy. Outside of the clinic online, just because of licensure restrictions from state to state, I only do like wellness programs or like personal training kind of style stuff.
Okay. Now for someone who is, I think I mentioned earlier that we are focusing on physical therapy this month at the Spine Health Foundation. But for someone who is maybe not hurt so much that they're like, oh, I need to go to the doctor, but they're like, oh, I have a pain in my neck, or, something sort of tweaking, and it doesn't necessarily need a doctor, or maybe they're just someone that is trying to maintain a healthy spine. What are some of the exercises or steps you would recommend that they take sort of to make sure they're doing everything right?
So I would definitely just take a look at how your body is moving. So let's take the neck, for example. So like, does it bend forward? Does it feel like it moves all the way? or does it feel a little bit tight when you bend forward? Same thing with going backwards, same thing with going to the side. Do you notice like it pinching on one side or more so a pull on the other side, or does it feel pretty good? Are you able to move equally from side to side? Those types of things. And then, so for example, if you're coming this way and you feel a pull on this side here, that might mean this muscle is tight. And especially if it's limited more so on one side versus the other, maybe incorporating some neck stretches. For example, if you turn your head and it goes a little bit farther, more so on one side versus the other, there are some like towel exercises that you can do to kind of help loosen that up. And things like that. So it's more so take a look at how you're moving, notice anything there, and then see if you can either stretch or like do some mobility exercises to help loosen that up, and see if you can adjust that on your own. And if you're not, there are, it really depends from like state to state and country to country and things like that based on legislation for physical therapy. But depending on the state that you're in, if you're in the United States, some places allow direct access where you can just go to a physical therapist without a doctor's referral and just do like, you can do a wellness visit. I know like we offer those through the company that I work for. And then, or whether it's you're having a little aches and pains, then you can get that looked at. And then it might just be one visit. It might be like a couple visits. You learn a couple things to do on your own and go on your way. And you might not ever need to actually go to the doctor for that too. But depending on state to state.
Yeah. I know there's been a lot more resources out there lately. And one of the things we heard back from people at the foundation is just that they want more of that information. So I think it's so great to know that it's there. Now, you use the word mobility, which is obviously, you know, that for you, that's a very obvious word, but some people may not be familiar with it. So tell us a little bit about what is mobility and why is it important? And how does it help the spine?
Yeah, so mobility, because the spine is just a series of a ton of joints, mobility is focusing on that joint mobility. So like the joint motion. So flexibility is more muscle length, if that makes sense, versus mobility is that joint moving well. So that includes a little bit of flexibility. It also includes active mobility. So are you able to move actively so your muscles are doing the work versus passive motion would be like my arm raising over my head using my other arm. So this arm isn't doing anything, but it's moved overhead. So that's passive. And then active is it's raising overhead by itself. Are those equal, right? So your active and your passive gaps. So that's going to be looking more at mobility as well. And then you also have to consider, a lot of people don't consider neurodynamics. So you have nerves going throughout your body, and those can sometimes get a little bit restricted or tight or things like that, and can contribute to some symptoms and things like that. So I like to include nerve mobility, flexibility, and joint mobility as part of overall mobility.
Okay. And do you see, like, maybe you don't have like a solid answer to this question, but do you see a gap in this? Like when do you see people sort of start falling apart? Like, how old are they?
So it really depends on their lifestyle, right? So I've had people in their 40s and they're just kind of like, haven't necessarily taken care of their bodies, haven't really been staying moving, and they're starting to notice things. And then I've had like an 80-year-old wanting to get back to running.
Wow.
So it really varies. And honestly, if you don't use it, you lose it. And then you have to work a little harder to get it back, but you can get it back is the thing. So staying as active as we can for as long as we can is going to be the way to go about preventing anything.
Yeah, I feel like there's somebody just asked a medical question. I don't think we can answer medical questions, but do send us a message at Spine Health and we might be able to get one of our doctors to answer that for you. Okay, Laura, so you used to be a gymnast. Do you still do gymnastics at all?
Not formally. I kind of just play around.
Yeah.
And I do a little bit more hand balancing now these days, but not really formal gymnastics.
Okay. What are your favorite ways to stay in shape?
So I really do a combination of a ton of different things. So I have some calisthenics in there. I do a little bit of weightlifting. And then I also, like I mentioned, I do handstands. I do a little bit of ninja training as well, which is always fun. So that's why I have a salmon ladder behind me.
Are we going to see you on American Ninja Warrior soon?
I actually competed in season 11,
but
they did not air my run, so I have yet to see it. But I have actually competed.
That's amazing. My son watches Ninja Warrior Junior all the time, so he actually asked for a ninja course for his birthday. So
I asked my parents for a gym all the time growing up, and so they clearly refused, and now I did it myself. So.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, I will hopefully one day they'll air your episode. That's so sad that they didn't air it.
Yeah, there's a ton of people that compete. So
yeah,
and there's only so much airtime. So
right, exactly. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate your time and your expertise on some of these things. You know, everybody is different. Every person has different things that they're dealing with, but hopefully a little bit of more general information goes a long way. And is there anything that you're working on right now that you would want to tell people about, or that you would want to share with the viewers?
I mean, really, so take a look at the Anti-Sitting Program if that's something that interests you. I think that's a great place to start if you're just trying to get into things, move a little bit more. I am working on a pull-up program as well, so trying to get your first pull-up if that's something that you're interested in. But I'll be coming out with a couple other programs as well, hopefully within the year. So just working on those things. But if you do have any questions or anything like that, feel free to DM me, email me, and then there is the link in my bio to my website as well. So if you are curious about working with me, you can look at that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And we will be seeing you online.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.